We're going to talk about what makes an effective division. Obviously, I have puzzles up on the slide because if one piece is missing of your division might fail. So we try to keep all the pieces together and have you working as a cohesive division. So what are division standards? Division standards are actually guidelines that help PEF divisions run effectively. They were adopted in 2002 by the PEF Executive Board. Some are mandatory and some are not. And I'll go through which ones are mandatory and which ones are not for you to run your division effectively. The first is your division constitution. You should become familiar with your division constitution. I gave you all a copy of your division constitution, which is in your folders. You can go through that later. Your division constitution is specific to you, and if you ever want to make a change to that constitution, if you want to add a committee, or maybe some of the committees are outdated, you would contact our divisions department here at PEF headquarters, and they would be able to help you go through and make that change. And it would have to be voted on by your division. On the next page, in your constitution, you have several committees listed. This is a mandatory requirement. You want to establish your committees according to your constitution. So, some of those committees might be like an auditing committee, a membership committee, a grievance committee. These are just examples. Your constitution may not prescribe that your division needs that committee. It depends on which division you are in charge of. The next slide talks about meetings. It is mandatory that you conduct at least 2 membership meetings per year. Now, some of you, if you have a smaller division or you know someone with a smaller division, you may be thinking, even two meetings is a little bit difficult for us if you have a smaller division. That's okay, because maybe you have like a summer picnic and you hope people come, or like a holiday party during the holiday season. Those count as your membership meetings. That's okay. Those do count. So if you're having like a special event, those would count as a membership meeting. So this is a requirement. So if you decide to have a special event, again, those would go towards your minimum of 2 meetings. When you conduct your meeting, you're going to want to have an agenda, and it can even be informal, and you want to send it to your members in advance, and it's mandatory that you call your regional coordinator or email your regional coordinator and advise them of the meeting. So for folks here in Region 8, you would email the Region 8 office or your regional coordinator to make sure that person knows that you're having a membership meeting. Because sometimes if there's something really contentious going on in our workforce, in our union, the regional coordinator would like to be present, or sometimes they just want to meet with members. So you should be inviting your regional coordinator, or just at least letting them know that you're having a meeting. For communication, you do want to try to keep, raise your hand if you have a bulletin board in your agency. Okay, great. The state has given you, there's actually an article in your contract, the state has given you access to a bulletin board. It's your right. I know that sometimes, especially in these times, folks may be thinking, our bulletin board, I don't have access to it, or it's outdated, we don't use it anymore. You absolutely have the power to use your bulletin board, and believe it or not, it's a really powerful tool. Our communications department has helped us. Over to the right, we have some bulletin board headings. You see where it says Union Strong and meetings and contract updates. You can use those to make your bulletin board look neat and friendly and update it. Try to keep it current. People will look at it, especially if you change it frequently, maybe once a month or whatever you decide to do. You are in charge of that bulletin board. As long as you don't put anything political in nature on that bulletin board, like vote for this person or vote for that person, you absolutely can put anything related to the union and PEF on that bulletin board, okay? And if you have further questions about what is okay to put on the bulletin board and what isn't, you can contact me. I have my email up on the board, or you can contact Christy Furman and we can help you through that, but nothing political. For education, this is mandatory. You are required to have your stewards be trained. Now, it's not like, oh my God, I have to have all my stewards go to training, but the stewards, it's mandatory that at some point, they took on this role as a steward, they are going to be trained. If someone comes to them and they need to file a grievance, if someone comes to them and they have a question about health and safety, the steward should have some knowledge of what that member is talking about. In order to be fully trained, they have to take 6 modules and they receive a certificate at the end. These are all done right now and into the future, we think, over Zoom. They're done online over Zoom. We provide these trainings once a month, and they're provided by a field representative, a staff who is trained here at PEF and does this for a living. They provide this training, and they go through discipline and discharge, understanding the grievance procedure, health and safety, the many roles of a steward. I conduct that training, all the different roles that our stewards have, membership engagement, and know your contract. And that they're all done by field representatives. Some of the information kind of overlaps a little bit, but it usually takes about a half hour for the information to be disseminated to the members, and then it takes another half hour for people to have their questions answered, because we all have specific questions to our own specific work lives. These are, again, done online. You are all stewards by virtue of being a council leader. You should be receiving emails about these. If you're not, then I can get you the person that you will contact to get on that list, and you can join in. They're usually at about 6 or 6:30 at night, and we have them once a month. The next item that you should know about as a council leader is labor management. This is Article 24 of your contract, and again, labor management is a whole separate workshop, but I'm just covering the basics of kind of what you should know as a council leader. There's 3 levels. At the bottom, you'll see local, middle, agency, and top is statewide. What do you think if somebody comes to you and has something that they're upset about with work? Like, what do you think, what level would you start at? Local. Absolutely, local. Good, Jonathan. We always start at the bottom. We try to, kind of mitigate problems, and sometimes it's just miscommunication. You just need to go talk to the supervisor, or the member just needs to go talk to the supervisor, or ask a question, or have something clarified. So you always want to start at the bottom level. Why we utilize labor management is because the purpose is it's a forum for discussion and resolution of issues. And what should be addressed, it's items that aren't covered in your contract, okay? So like you have so many rights in your contract and so many different articles. You have health benefits, you have your compensation, you have your holidays, you have your health and safety article, you have workers' compensation. But if something comes up, a member comes to you and they have what you think and what they think is a legitimate problem that's not addressed in the contract, this is your forum to have that addressed. It's called labor management. It's Article 24. One of the other mandatory division standards is you want to have a local labor management committee if you don't already have one. Most of you do. Local meetings should be held at least twice per year, and agency meetings twice per year, and the minutes should be distributed to your membership. Contract enforcement, again, this is mandatory. It sounds very formal, but what we mean by this is if someone comes to you, a member comes to you, and the field rep isn't available, and they are being disciplined, and they're, distraught or upset, it is mandated that our council leaders help that person. Basically, you want to serve as a liaison for filing grievances. If your field rep is out of the office or no other field rep is available, which usually that will not happen, however, we just have to say it's mandatory that our next line of defense is you guys, our council leaders. You want to help the member. Maybe a grievance needs to be filed, and I will show you where to find those forms after we're done. You want to have a grievance structure. Basically, what we mean by this is that binder that you were given today or that folder that I gave you today, maybe keep all of your PEF information in one spot. That's what we mean by have a structure. Most of you are already doing that. You may have an area where you keep all of your PEF information. Just try to keep it all in one spot. It's that simple. You want to be involved in disciplines and interrogations. If the member asks you to, you are able to help them and just be kind of by their side, especially if the field rep's not available. These fiscal responsibilities are all mandatory. Many of you already do them. You know, your budgets, what you can spend money on, what you can't, your annual audits. Solidarity and member engagement. Obviously, we want our members to be engaged. We want solidarity. This is, you know, if there's a labor, like you heard the regional coordinator this morning talk about, she was at a labor breakfast. You know, if you are available or want to attend something like that, you want to become involved in the labor movement if you can. We do have new members that come on board, and we would love if our council leaders help them learn about the union and orient them to the union. We have a whole PowerPoint on this that I can show you when we're done with this slideshow. It's online and it's easy to access. Political action is, when we talk about political action, we have a political action committee here at PEF, a statewide committee and local committees. We want to encourage participation of our members to be involved in political action, and talk also with Patrick Lyons, who you met earlier, about legislation. We also want to recruit COPE contributors, which someone else does that here at PEF, and they can talk to you about that when we're done. This is the PEF website. It's www.pef.org. And on page 2 of your handout, we talked about your division constitution. You're going to go to PEF departments, and then you'll scroll down to divisions. And you'll see right underneath kind of the first paragraph is PEF Division Constitutions. You would click on that, and you can actually enter it by, can you see this? You can actually enter it by your number, your division number, or by your division name. This is how you run your division, is by your constitution. So that's how you would locate that. I talked about running meetings as a PEF member, as a council leader, and I talked about, you know, you really want to have an agenda, and you obviously want to have a sign-in sheet, have your meeting space. You're going to go to for members, a toolkit for leaders here. You click on that, and you'll see a toolkit here for leaders, which is what you are. Common forms used by leaders, and if you click over on the right-hand side on this little plus sign, you'll see a meeting attendance sheet, and this is what you would be able to print out and have your members sign in, and then when you're done, you can keep a copy of that, and you should also be emailing a copy to our organizing department. I wanted to show you on page 9 when we talked about new members, and remember I said you can orient new members to the union, and some of you who work for DOCS or maybe other agencies where you have people who work the morning shift and the day shift and the night shift and you can't access them all, you can give them this PowerPoint and this information, and they'll be able to view it by themselves at night on their own computer, or you can go through it at a division meeting. Just have a projector ready and show this. But I wanted to show you, it's for members, and then it's PEF member orientation, and then if you scroll down a little bit, it'll say introduction to your union, and if you click on that little plus sign, you have a new hire orientation presentation, and it's a PDF, but you can click through and you'll see a video on PEF. Then you can click through and you'll see why we have a union, what we do, who we are. This is kind of, some of this is taken from my PowerPoint. Where does PEF Power come from? It gives people a very concrete explanation of why they should and want to join the union. So those are really some of the requirements of being a council leader, some of the mandatory requirements, and some of the optional items that you should be doing as a council leader.